Hey guys, Steve Trowbridge here. So I just got done watching the second season of the season 2 of Shadowhunters, and I'm here to do my weekly review on the episode. So I don't know, just a few something that I've noticed about the season so far with the first few episodes, especially with this one. It seems like they're taking bits and pieces of certain books from the series. Like I feel like there's hints of City of Ashes in it, and then I feel like there's hints of like City of Fallen Angels and City of Lost Souls put into this book. So I feel like they're not really following the books, but they're just like taking like bits and pieces from each book and like putting it into the show. I feel like that's what they're doing. And like I said last week, I don't at this point. I don't think it's pretty clear that they're not gonna, follow the books exactly. I think the show is just going to be its own thing, and I think that if you're kind of still hoping the show is going to be like the books, then you're kind of at a lost cause. I mean, and I've accepted that at this point. I've accepted the fact that it's not going to be exactly like the books. I've accepted the fact that it's going to be its own thing. I mean, I wish that we could have a clear adaptation of the books, but we can't. But that's why the books will always be there. And we'll have the show, and it's interesting to see what they'll do with the show. And how everything ends up. But so basically, this episode, the acting is still a lot better, and I know I said that like a million times the last review, but I don't know. It's just something I really like to emphasize is because the acting last season was just so questionable and like it left a lot to be desired, and it was very bad at times too. But I just feel like the acting has gotten so much better. I feel like all the actors really are much more natural. And especially, I mean, I cannot stress the improvement, that like Catherine McNamara as Clary has made, and the improvement that Dominic Sherwood as Jace has made as actors on the show. Just in this season. But basically, they're still trying to find Jace. Alec is still pretty stressed out about it, and that's one thing that I really liked about this episode because the characters felt more like the characters from the book, at least with like Alec and Clary and their whole relationship. Because in the books, for like the first part of the series, really, Alec really isn't too fond of Clary, and he kind of blames her for all that's happened and everything, because before Clary came into their lives, everything was pretty much fine. And then when she came into their lives, all this chaos started to happen and everything. So Alec really kind of resents her for that from the first half of the series, and they really played that up here in this episode because Jace is Alec's parabatai, and he's gone missing, and he's really trying to find him. He's really stressed out, and he kind of blames Clary for it. So that really felt like the books as far as the characters go. One thing I don't really understand is like is how Isabel and Clary seem to be like because really close, because it's like last season, like towards the later half of the season, they were acting like they were besties or something, and it really wasn't like that in the books, because in the books, Clary and Isabel really weren't that close. They really weren't that close until later on in the series, and I wouldn't even call them close then. I don't think, because in the third book, I think, because Alec is saying, you don't, in this episode, Alec was saying you don't belong here. You've never belonged here, which is pretty much what he said in the books, and pretty much in book 3 what Jace ends up saying you're a mundane and you'll always be a mundane. That's what he said in book 3. And book readers, I assume you'll know what I'm talking about. And Isabel pretty much said the same thing. So, I mean, as far as Isabel kind of trying to comfort Clary and saying, oh, it just doesn't feel completely right, but again, it's not going to be exactly like the book, so I guess we got to expect little changes like that. So, yeah, but apart from that, Isabel does definitely feel like more like Isabel in this season, like the character Isabel from the books. We're getting the more badass Isabel, as opposed to the walking, talking cliche we got from last season. And then the few weird episodes where like Isabel was acting like fucking like Mulan and shit. Like I gotta bring honor to my family and everything, and it's just really weird. But we're done with that shit, and Isabel is more Isabel in this season, and she was starting to act more like Isabel in like the last few episodes of the first season, but now we're just really getting Isabel and just more of the characters in general. The characters feel more like themselves. We did get a scene with Aldertree and Simon in Aldertree's office, and that reminded me of book 3 because of City of Glass, because that does remind me of a scene from book 3 where Aldertree is kind of talking to Simon about his plan and everything. and he basically just like threatens Simon. He might just ban all vamps from, as he calls them, vamps from the Institute who are fraternizing with their Shadowhunter friends because he knows that he's got a thing for Clary. So Simon is just in all kinds of shit, and which is kind of like the books because Raphael finds out what Simon said about him, and obviously he's not happy. So he's making Simon go to Camille and trying to. I'm kind of confused, honestly, because I don't remember exactly why Raphael wanted Simon to go to Camille, but he's telling him you have to go to Camille because they're going to punish me. They're going to burn me alive because I guess that's what he said something else about. I know he said about. I didn't quite catch it, like maybe the volume still, but he said something about how they'll forcibly burn him under the sun. And Simon, he was like, which body part? Or actually, no, I don't want to know. So that's another thing. Simon had a lot of funny dialogue in this episode, which feels like Simon because Simon is definitely, he brings a lot of the humor in the books, but I wouldn't call him like a complete comedic character because he does have a lot of humor in the books, but at the same time he is a fleshed out character and he is multi-dimensional. He's not just the comedic relief character. So, and I feel like that's what they're doing with Simon, even though he was he had more comedic moments in this episode than not. But so that's going on with Simon, and Magnus is trying to help him out with that. And there was this whole scene with the snake because they went to India where apparently Camille is staying, and there was this whole scene where Simon was doing he thought he was doing a spell on the snake, and he thought it worked, but I think it was just Magnus. Magnus was the one that drew it away from him. But basically, the gist of it is that Magnus is going to try to help Simon figure out the downworld. And then, Clary is obviously still upset with her mom because her mom never told her anything about the Shadowhunter world, and she made her think that she was just a normal person growing up, but she really isn't because in the episode, Clary went to the art academy that I think she's planning to go to, and, she has that whole talk with her mom, like, she's like, I'm not a Shadowhunter, I'm not a mundane, I'm not anything, and then she walks out, so she's obviously unhappy. And then right after that scene, it looks like a drugged Dot, who was supposed to be Madame Dorothea, but I get they kind of changed her character too, but she grabs Clary and takes her to a portal to Valentine, and she's saying, Valentine was misunderstood, and that's when it reminded me of City of Lost Souls, because I guess spoilers for anyone who hasn't read the books, but it reminded me of when Sebastian was taking gathering up Shadowhunters and making them drink from the cup. I can't remember what it was called. The cup. He was making them drink. Book readers knows what I'm talking about. Making them drink and then it like brainwashed them and made them into Sebastian's followers. That's what it felt like. And people who haven't read the books obviously don't know who Sebastian is, so I won't spoil that. You'll find out. But eventually, hopefully, in the show. And when they do that, hopefully they do it right, but who knows. But anyways, that reminded me of that. And then another thing that was going on was apparently Valentine was like raiding like fight clubs in this episode and everything, like looking for the biggest and strongest in like these taekwondo clubs, these just fighting clubs, which felt a little bit weird to me. Because it seems like he already has his army cut out for him, but I guess he's gathering more people because the people that he was gathering, I believe this happened in the books. It happened somewhere in the books. Either it was Valentine or Sebastian, but he was taking people that weren't trained, but he was making them into Shadowhunters because he made them drink. I think that happened in the books. It's been a while since I've read the books, especially the first three. It's been a while, so I can't remember clearly everything, but it seems like he did something like that in the books. So yeah, and then Alec and Isabel go to one of the fight clubs that I guess Valentine is sending one of his guys to raid to get the one guy. Again, I guess they're getting like the biggest, toughest person in these clubs. I don't know. But go in there and it's a scene where Isabel pretty much kicks the big guy's ass, which was kind of cool, but it just the whole scene and just that in general just felt out of place. I don't know why. I don't know how to. It just didn't. It felt out of place. I don't know why. But they knocked that guy out, and then Isabel disguises herself with the glamour or whatever as the big guy, and Valentine's one of Valentine's guys comes to take him, and then Isabel reveals herself, and then Isabel and Alec corner him, and they're trying to find out where Valentine is, and then the guy slits his throat. So that was kind of I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know what to think about that scene. The whole fighting club scenes, all of them, just felt really weird and out of place in the episode for some reason to me. But that's just my opinion. What else? Simon is still. I know I've discussed Simon, but Simon's still having trouble with the was still having trouble with the werewolves beforehand, and I'm pretty convinced the one with the dyed hair, I'm guessing it's dyed hair. It looks kind of like a wig, or if it's supposed to be dyed hair, then they're doing kind of a bad job, because if it is a wig and they're trying to pass it off as dyed hair, it's not, looks pretty bad. But whatever it is, the one with the light hair, I'm pretty sure, I'm about 99% sure that that's Maya. I'm pretty sure that's Maya Roberts. I don't know who else it would be. Which, by the way, I guess Maya Roberts, like Valentine, like they captured her, and they had some other guy there. I guess he's a Shadowhunter too or something, but he was saying how, like, you know, a white wolf attacked my father, and insinuating that it was her, and she's saying, no, I never killed anyone, and Valentine was going to make Jace kill Maya, or I'm assuming that the person that is Maya, but Valentine ends up stabbing Maya at the end, so I'm assuming she lives and she's alive, because Maya doesn't die in the books. In fact, she plays kind of a major role in the last few books. So I'm guessing that she wasn't killed, and that she is okay, or it's going to be revealed that she's all right and not dead in the next episode. But yeah, obviously Dot captures Clary and takes Clary to the to Valentine's ship, and Clary convinces Dot to help her out. Which was weird, because I thought Dot was, like, convinced and brainwashed that Valentine was good since what he did to her, but I guess not. So that was weird. And Dot put in Clary's mind that she could tell the future, which I was like, well, wait a minute, no, I hope that's not a legitimate thing, because Clary in the books can't tell the future. She has a power, but it's not that she can tell the future. But it turns out to be, I guess it was just a trick. Which, that whole sequence when Dot, like, was making those images flash through her head, that was pretty disturbing, admittedly. They did a pretty good job with that. At the end, you know, Valentine is obviously trying to say, you know, I love you, Clary, you know, and Clary's like, you're not my family, which is very much like reminds me very much of the City of Ashes ship scene with Valentine. But Dot, they're trying to escape, and Luke gave Jocelyn the stone, the tracking stone, I guess it is, or something. I was a little confused on that too, but got it to where they can track where Jace is. This whole tracking thing again, I don't really know. I don't really care for it. I don't even know if that's a thing in the books. I don't think it is, but give it to Alex so we can track Jace, and apparently it's going to be, like, really hard on both the parabatai's bodies, because we see Jace get affected by it too, because he starts to weaken, his nose starts to get bloody. But Dot creates a portal, I think, and they try to jump to it, but they jump to it too late and they fall in the water. So I'm wondering if Valentine is going to have someone go down and try to find them, or if he's just going to go ahead and move on. I would think that he would try to find them in the water first, but who knows. But yeah, so I'm assuming Jace and Clary have escaped, but unless Valentine tries to look for them, in which case he might get them back. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. I'm running out of time here, so if I missed anything, I apologize. Let me know in the comments if I did. Like this video if you like this review, and yeah, so show is going good so far. Season 2, I like Season 2 so far, so hopefully they keep it up. But yeah, so that's it for this review. I will be back next week with a review of Episode 3, and I'll talk to you guys then. Peace.